after I explained you what we are doing and how we are measure, and I hope that I answered the last question we had, I want to show you the Whitebox platform. So in that analysis, we made a board relevant for cybersecurity as an era. We are measuring now ChatGPT, but we can include also AI overview, perplexity, and the others. You can see the KPIs of the mention rate and the average rank. And you can see, for example, in the measurement we did on the end of October, the mention rate of those companies. But mention rate of which prompt, right? So we defined a few categories. In each category, we are including hundreds of prompts. Here is some example of prompts we are doing. And for each category, we are calculate the top visibility companies, and obviously in terms of specific prompt. So you can like understand where you are located in, but this is like the first stage to understand and maybe to plan where do you want to invest. But more interesting than that is to do the source analysis. And if we will go to the source analysis part, you can see what are the sources that actually affected the most of all of the categories. So you can see that 5% of all of those prompts rely on Reddit, and you can see like the specific sub-channels and the comments. Expert Insight with 3.7 and with the specific articles. PeerSpot with 3.7, again with the specific categories and reviews, and all the others. Some of them is branded, some of them is not. But more interesting to see, we can like focus on specific category. For example, on MDR, we put that on filter. So the mention rate obviously is different. Now you can see like CrowdStrike leading, and after it, Palo Alto and Rapid7. But also the sources a little bit change. You can see now that CrowdStrike as a source that affecting 30%, PeerSpot 7%, Cybernet and Reddit and all the others. And you can see, if we will take a look, like CrowdStrike, Palo Alto, and all the others that have high rank, you can see that there is a correlation between what are the top sources and what are the top sources that affect this brand. And CrowdStrike leading both on the top sources that control the answers and where the sources that affect their brands. So you can see like where you should invest in which domains. So this is one thing to see. But now let's move for the branded parts. When we are asked prompts like what is pros and cons about the brand, is it legit, is there any risk, something that more have correlation to a sentiment prompts. And we ask the same prompts on all of those companies, on Zscaler, Netscope, Palo Alto, and all the others. And you can see many things here. First of all, what are the sources that dominate the vertical by categories? You can see in numbers like 40%, and by color, this is a sentiment between -1 to 1. 1 is positive, 0 is neutral, informative, and under the 0, it is orange or red. This is bad sentiment. For example, in Zscaler, 14% came from Reddit, from the specific URLs. And there is many opportunities. The first opportunity is obviously to go where you have negative sentiment and like put the relevant content there. But also when you have high impact source with neutral sentiment, this is an opportunity. So the chat, take a look, for example, in PeerSpot articles, but because the text is very informative and neutral, 30% of what people see as an answer about you get a favor of neutral and informative information. And you can see like in different companies that could be the same source with green positive sentiment. So in that view, you can see like sources that affect you and also on your competitors, and what are the most relevant domain to the vertical, and obviously you can take control on the sources that affect your competitors. And more than that, for each company, you can see the topic analysis. It means that you can see in percent when people ask about pros and cons, what the chat answer about the brand, and in how in also in percent. And it is very interesting and very effective. By doing that reverse engineering, you actually can control the narrative. And I'll give you an example. This performance and latency issue that is 84% of the time the complaint about Zscaler, it's rely on only 3 different sources. So once you will do that reverse engineering and put the against the negative or the content that can like improve the sentiment there, it's obviously improve all the sentiment for that specific topic on you. So yes, and obviously each one of them have different topics.
I know. We hear this previous to being part of LLM Answers. It was with reviews. People would want to say, well, look, some of the organic reviews that have come in, people, they get maybe a 4-star out of 5 review, but people have some cons that are, maybe not the truth anymore because we've changed the software or we've updated something. And so for us, that's a way for us to work together and say, okay, let's refresh those reviews and ask the customer to give another look because of the changes. There's been some time, et cetera. Maybe that review is 1 year old, 2 years old. Or the other way too is, a new campaign bringing in a new set of customers with new review content that are more recent. Because what I've seen is the LLMs will like recency as well. So they don't like pulling old reviews. They like pulling more recent reviews. It's just if you don't have recent reviews, they're going to pull what's there.
Exactly. ChatGPT like very evaluate fresh data. So when you see like fresh reports, fresh reviews, fresh everything, his eyes like catching that as well. I think I want to show you that last example about SkyHire for example, because it took my eye. When we'll take a look on SkyHigh security, you can see that obviously PeerSpot is dominant, almost half of all the sentiment narrative for SkyHigh. And if you will go to see like the complaints, for example, about the cost, you can see that all the complaints about the cost came from PeerSpot. So actually, this is like very effective. If you want to neutralize this complaint, you have like the direct thing that you should do for that.